Let's talk about recognizing and dealing with a subject who is showing the reaction state of anger. Back with tip number 59. Welcome back. Stan Walters with you again. 101 tips for interviewing and interrogation. This is tip number 59. We're continuing our coverage of talking about subjects' reaction and response behaviors. Remember, subject in this sense means not only the suspect, or person of interest, whatever you want to call it, but also victims and witnesses, because they can experience anger also. So let's first of all talk about anger. Anger is another emotional response just like depression. In fact, they got a couple of things in common we'll talk about in just a moment. What happens again in a strong emotional response? If you recall, we said in depression, the person is in a very strong emotional reaction, the more locked in they become that their position or point of view is correct, that it is right. And it's very hard to get them to move off of that point, particularly if you let the anger to continue. Tactic I wanted you to think about, that the subject using for anger, their purpose is to establish or to regain lost control, or what they perceive as lost control, and they want to recover that. By doing that, they'll use aggressive tactics. These tactics they use, by the way, are ones that they have learned. Okay, and it's learned one of three ways. Sometime in the past, they had a problem, they were in a conflict, had difficulty, and they used anger as a tool to handle the problem, and it worked for them. So what will happen? Yeah, they'll use it again. Or sometime in the past, in a conflict or a disagreement or in a huge decision-making moment where things were overwhelming them, someone used aggression on them, used anger, and as a result, your subject lost. And they learned that tactics work for someone else, so they'll redeploy it. Okay, so remember, it's an emotional state, it's a reaction, because a reaction will not allow the conversation dialogue to progress forward. It will prevent moving toward any type of solution. This is not a sign of deception. One of the very common myths that happen is that, for example, that an innocent person will always become angry if they're wrongly accused. Sorry, that doesn't fit. There's no support for that. There's many reasons an innocent person will become angry. It also does not mean that a person who is not angry is telling the truth, correct? So you can't say if they're angry, they're innocent. If they're not angry, they're guilty. You cannot make that use. And anger itself is not a sign of deception, but is an impediment to ongoing conversation. My tactic, what you want to do is interview, and let's talk first about how to recognize verbal and nonverbal cues. Let's start with the verbal. Now, obviously, the pitch can be up, volume can be up, rate of speech can be very quick. Okay, that's a typical sign of anger, and shouting. But listen to the conversation. Are they attacking and blaming the victim? It's the victim's fault, the victim started it, the victim is a crook, thieves, and they degrade or defame the victim themselves as setting things up and causing it to happen. They may talk about how this is such a hassle, this is a pain, what a distraction, is this the best use of resources and time, is this what you're really supposed to be doing? They may attack your agency, you guys are working on a quota, or how about this one? You want to stop me or pick me because I'm rich or I'm not rich, I'm poor, I'm not poor, pick race, pick gender, pick age, pick one. Okay? Even nationalities will be picked on. They may threaten to sue you. I'll have your job. My taxes, right, pay your salary. Okay? Or they'll talk about little minor details that distract away from the conversation. There's a lot of people got jackets like mine. There's a car like mine in town. Even my buddies mistake that car. They thought it was mine. Looked just like mine. But it's a year older and a little bit different set of rims on it. They may attack administrative arguments like, is this your jurisdiction? Does your boss know what you're doing? Is this really your job assignment? Is this something above your pay grade? Or how about this? I'm the one that told you guys about this. I brought this up a long time ago. And you didn't do anything about it. Now you're going to come out here and blame me. All of those actions are attempts to drag you into the argument. Think something I want you to remember. The interviewer who's pulled into anger by the subject has already lost, and you don't know it yet. Because they're controlling the game. They set the end game, they set the rules of engagement, okay? And you'll never catch up. You'll never be able to follow through because they keep changing on you. Also remember that angry people are intellectually deaf. That not only applies to your subject because they're not ready to compromise, but when you're angry, you're not listening either. And what happens in anger, your creative abilities, your creative mind collapses. It closes down and you lose the ability to think around the problem, to think of creative solutions. Nonverbal behaviors in the body language, and I'm going to show you a couple of shots here. Look for the subject that's moving in with aggressively moving in toward the interviewer. Look at a lot of finger pointing, for example. Now, look here. Look at the eyebrows right here. See this dark V shape? Okay, when it's down like this, that's typical of aggression. Or clenching the jaw. You can see that tightening on the side. Or look for the lips to be very straight lined across here and very thin. Think of your mom. Young man, if you think you're going to, and you get that thin lip look. Okay, you get the head drop and you get the deep brow with the look of piercing stare. Those are signs of aggression. What you want to do as an interviewer is, first of all, are you bringing up too many details? And you can overwhelm the subject with that. Go back and look at one of our previous videos, or one of the tips, too many details, okay, where the interviewer tries to overload the subject. But an excellent, excellent tool. First of all, don't get dragged in, but use what's called the Ransberger pivot. In the Ransberger pivot, you take a person out of their emotional self, moving into the logical self. So you make comments. I understand you're upset. I can appreciate the situation you find yourself in and that you're really aggravated about what's going on. What is it that's bothering you the most? What is the one thing that you think needs to be clarified? What is it that you want people to know that they've mistaken? Help me understand what's causing your frustration and having to deal with this. So instead of becoming the adversary, I've switched sides, pivoted, and become the ally. And that shuts down anger very quickly. And it takes away, again, that strong emotional reaction, and you're siding with the person, and you're both now pulling into the logic-based response. You've not lost anything here. You've not lost ground with your subject. Understand that. Okay? You're actually helping them get back under control. Now, if you think, well, with an angry subject, you just got to let them know who's boss. Then you're falling right into the trap. So take a look at his anger, and remember, our job, we want to diffuse the anger and find their point of view and deal with things one issue, 1 point at a time. I've got a great YouTube video previous on this. Take a look at our on-demand courses, and you'll find a section, a whole course about dealing with the angry subject. It goes into great detail. So take a look at the website and go to on-demand training and find that one. And you'll be able to go through it and next to take a test and get CEUs on it. There's other on-demand courses there too. And your pocket guide has got the same set of details, your playbook, recognizing all the signs, classified with anger, what's your best strategy, and what's your tactical approach. Great to be with you again. Please be safe. We'll see you back next time for tip number 60. We're going to deal with the response behavior of acceptance. See you then.